Welcome to part 4 of this series. In this part we'll start looking at the head and the valves, and possibly by the end of this episode maybe get the engine running, but seems to be popping up various problems, so might be a few more episodes before we hear this thing running. Now the barrels are back in position, down hard on the bottom. Also the new chain guide is in position. Now while cleaning the pistons, I did notice that, you can see there's some marks on the piston around where the exhaust valves go. So some of you may guess where I'm going now, as earlier in the video I noticed that the exhaust valves were leaking. I assumed that was based on just a build-up of carbon. I've now removed all the valves successfully with my slightly modified car valve compressor, and immediately noticed that the exhaust valves are actually bent. So all I can assume happened was that when the chain guide collapsed, that gave the chain enough slack to be able to jump a few cogs, so the cams got out of time and the exhaust valves were hitting the pistons for some short period of time. So if we come over here to where the valves are, for example, this is the valve for number 1 piston, and I don't know if you can tell, but that has quite a bit of a bend in it, which is unfortunate. I've managed to find 3 new old stock exhaust valves on eBay for a reasonable price, and then the 4th one buying from Partzilla. So once those arrive, I just have to lap those in. I've checked the inlet valves and they seem to be fine. Just seem to be the exhaust valves. I guess it could have been a lot worse, but yeah, anyway, another step, 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but at least it's starting to make sense now. So while I'm waiting for the replacement exhaust valves to come in, thought I'd have a look at another small side project, which is the actual side covers for this bike. So let's have a look and see what needs doing on those. So these side covers for the 750 are in pretty good condition. Obviously the emblem there is going to need a bit of touch up with some paint, etc. Although this one here, which is the right side, does have a crack in it, and on closer inspection there's a small crack up here, but also there's a whole section there missing, so obviously that's been crushed or something. So I looked at online replacements and they were horrendously expensive, so I went up to the local hardware store and wandered around until I found something that was made out of a similar plastic, which was this plumbing grill grate thing. Cut out a flat section and then shaped this this piece here, which will basically sit like that, and what I plan to do is fiberglass that into place, seal up the little cracks, and then I'll probably have to paint these to cover up the cracks and things, but that's the plan anyway. So I've shown you the repairs I was doing to this side cover, which had a big section missing. So I cut out a bit of black plastic, and basically used fiberglass matting and fiberglass to put those places in place. So it worked out okay. Originally I was going to spray paint these to bring them back to something looking like original, which is sort of like a semi-gloss black finish. Decided I'd try out this, after sanding them, tried this naturally black plastic restorer, and on this other side cover, it doesn't look too bad. There's a few little areas that show up under certain light, so yeah, still haven't decided whether I'll continue on with that, but and then also I touched up the emblems with some silver chrome style paint. They don't look too bad. I might replace them with newer chrome looking ones later on, but they'll do for now. So yeah, just trying to get these side covers looking reasonably close to factory new. So after experimenting with this naturally black product on the side covers, which, I mean, it does a good job, but there were some scratches and things on the side panels that didn't really was still showing through, so I wasn't completely happy. So I wanted that sort of semi-gloss black finish. I tried some paint that was like a matte finish, then wasn't happy with that. Wasn't happy with the high gloss finish, but discovered this Duplicolor trim and bumper paint, which gives you a sort of a semi-gloss finish. So I ended up painting the side covers, and this is how they turned out. So you can see that the paint's covered quite well, and you get that sort of semi-gloss finish of the plastic side covers. So actually quite happy with that, how they've turned out. So they'll go aside until they eventually go onto the bike at some time in the future. So quite good. And this arrived today in the mail, and these are 3 of the replacement exhaust valves, wrapped very nicely. Obviously they've been sitting around in a shed or a store somewhere for the last 40 or so years, so they look very nice and not bent. And I've done just a quick check fit into the valve guide, and it all seems to work. So unfortunately it was only 3, but the 4th one is coming from Partzilla, so once that one arrives we can start lapping the valves and getting our head back on. So the last of the exhaust valves has arrived from Partzilla. Looks like that's an new old stock as well. So we now have all 4. I've bought myself some new lapping tool and lapping paste, because my old tool, the rubber, had gone rock hard, and the grinding compound had just turned to rocks as well. So we're now ready to insert the new valves, change the valve stem seals, clean up the head, and hopefully get the head back on and see what the compression is like. So coming to the end of episode 4 of this restoration, just a couple of small things before we go. So the sump and the oil filter cover been put back on, new gaskets, new stainless steel nuts and washers, and put some oil into the oil filter before we put it in. The other thing that arrived is this chain guard. On an earlier episode I pointed out that the chain guard that's on it is actually not the correct one. Yeah, as you can tell by this bracket somebody's made here. So I bought one of these from a guy in Canada, and when it arrived it was basically the same as that one, but in a black metal. Turns out that he shipped 2 of them on the day and managed to ship mine to somebody else, and there's other persons to me, so had to send the old one back to Canada, and then eventually this correct black plastic one arrived. There is a metal bracket that fits underneath here to support the plastic, but, which didn't come with it. That's fine. I can easily make one of those. So that, yeah, that's good to get those parts in, and we move on to the next step. So that's it for episode 4 of the restoration project. Didn't quite get as much done as we thought, although did get the side covers finished, get the sump and the oil filter back in, and the valves have arrived, so the next episode will be around lapping the valves and getting the head back on. So see you in episode 5.